I was going to make a self-deprecating joke about how nobody got up today to listen to a talk about business proposals, but as I've been having a lot of conversations with many of you, like, you guys are into it so far, like you're really excited to hear about proposals. So anyway, that's good. You're my crew. Yeah, as I said, 11 and a half years, or as the person who introduced me said, 11 and a half years doing Proposify. Before that, I actually ran a marketing agency. That was my first business, web design marketing. And the only thing that I hated more than clients not paying their bills on time or telling me to make the logo bigger was sending a proposal to them to win their business. It was a thorn in my side. And so I created an app to scratch that itch, to make that less painful. And Proposify was born from that. So as I've said, that's what I've been doing now for a while. And so I've seen a lot of business proposals. I talk a lot about them. And we also analyze 1 million proposals that go through our system every year and report on like what's different, what's changed year over year. Some things stay the same, some things change. So I'm going to share some of those stats with you. And even if you didn't get out of bed to write a business proposal or hear or talk about it, I think if you put some of these things into practice, it will help you win more deals, more projects, and spend less time doing it. So that's what I'm going to share with you now. The biggest thing that I see when talking to people about this is some people put way too little emphasis on the proposal. It's kind of like the forgotten child of the marketing world, right? It kind of lives with sales. Marketing influences it, but nobody really truly owns it. And it's a shame because people put so much, marketers put so much emphasis into their brand, into their website, their logo, all of the materials, and then you get to the finish line and it's just like that, right? Like if you search business proposal template on Google image search, you'll come up with something like that. And it really just looks like a boring Word document. And people will say, oh, it doesn't matter, whatever. Like, I talked to an agency owner who does websites and that kind of thing. He was like, I just send proposals over email. What does it matter? It's like, well, if the website matters, if the brand matters, why doesn't the proposal matter? Apple puts care into the packaging, the stuff that you open that like you're only ever going to look at once. They put thought into how that's designed and how that's presented. So everything counts, especially when you get to the finish line. If you're going to put that effort and those dollars into bringing leads in the door and getting them into a sales cycle, then at the finish line, you don't want to blow it. And there's a couple stories that I want to share about how I've seen this happen from a negative perspective. There was once I had a problem in my business. It was about chargebacks. The problem itself doesn't really matter for the story, but it was something I hated doing. I had to manage our chargebacks, and I was like, there's got to be something out there that can fix this. And a couple of weeks later, an outbound sales rep emailed me and was like, hey, we deal with chargebacks. We automate that. Take that off your hands. I was like, amazing. Get on a call with them. He explains what they do. Sounds great. I'm like, cool. Like, how do we get going? Like, basically, it was the shut up and take my money moment. And he was like, well, I will send you a proposal, and then you can sign that. 3 days pass. I'm like still dealing with this problem of chargebacks. And like, I end up emailing the rep, hey, where's the proposal? And he's like, oh, well, I don't actually do it myself. It's like Janice in accounting has to make the proposal. I don't know where it's at. I'll message her and I'll get back to you. And I'm like, fine. So finally, a week later, a DocuSign appears in my inbox from Janice, who isn't the person I was speaking to. And now the rep is chasing me, trying to follow up with me. Like, hey, did you get my proposal? And then I open it up and it basically looks like that template over there on the right. But even worse, it's like 12 pages of legalese, a bunch of check boxes. And now as a buyer, I'm confused and I'm like, I don't know what this is. And now I put it off. So I share that story as an example of how we can really blow it at the finish line. Like you can get a lead who's hot and excited and ready to move forward, and then the proposal can make or break that experience as a buyer. And if you have that experience as a buyer, you think, well, what is it like to actually work with this client if it's that hard to get a proposal out of them? I don't know if we see this as much anymore, but I know like in the 2000s, it was very common to go to a marketing agency website and go to the contact us, and it would say like, if for a proposal, wait 2 weeks, like it'll take us 2 weeks to send you a proposal. Like, that just doesn't fly anymore. People have so many options that the faster you get them a proposal, the faster you close the deal. And a lot of times, just leaving the content and the branding and everything else aside, just speed to get it in front of them can actually make or break whether or not they sign with you. I had a customer years ago told me very excitedly, he was like, okay, everybody knows Gary Vee. I'm not going to do the impression, but probably most people know Gary Vee and his agency, VaynerMedia. This customer was a very small marketing agency. He's like, we beat Gary Vee, we beat VaynerMedia at a job. We were up against them. And the client went with us instead of VaynerMedia because VaynerMedia was going to take 2 weeks. And they were able to get the proposal in front of them that afternoon. And they said, oh, well, you've made it easy for me to buy, so I'm just going to go with you guys. We sometimes forget how simple it is. Like, just get the proposal in their hand. So prospects are not going to wait. And we need to now balance these two things. How do we get a really well-crafted proposal? Because a proposal isn't just a contract. There's a story behind it. I like to say that proposals are like the original ABM. We all know what ABM is, account-based marketing. That's when you come up with a campaign specifically for one account. It's kind of what a proposal is, right? We could just send them to our website to learn information about us, or we could just send them to a pricing page somewhere that's boilerplate for everybody. But the proposal is very customized for that one customer. So it has to tell the story. It has to be visually exciting. And it has to be relevant to their problem that they're coming to you to solve. But it can't take 2 weeks to get out the door. So we're sort of caught between two worlds. Do you make it really good and take too long? Or do you, get it in front of them, but then have what we often see is like errors, pricing mistakes, the wrong client name? How many people has that happened to? You send them the proposal, and it's got like their competitor that you pitched 2 months ago in the proposal. Like, why is their name in there? That happens when you go too quickly and you don't have good systems in place. So regardless of what kind of a tool you use, because obviously there's tools like Proposify and our competitors, but there's also what most people use is like Google Suite or Word or PDF. Whatever it is that you happen to use, you have to have a really good system to get this out the door. And I'm going to share more about that. From our annual state of proposals, this is 900,000, a little over 900,000 proposals that we analyzed in over the last 12 months. And what we found was, on average, it takes about 17 minutes from create to send. So that's pretty fast. 75 minutes to open. So sometimes we think like prospects are sitting on these things, or it goes in their inbox and they ignore it for days and days, but it's actually pretty quick for the prospect to first open the document. And then I was really surprised to see that it's only about 2 days to close. So pretty quick, which means if you can get the proposal in front of them fast, you have a much higher likelihood of winning it. But how do you do this? How do you get high quality and speed together? And like I said, it doesn't matter so much the tool, although tools can help, but having a really good process. And I really like the pizza analogy. We use this a lot with our customers to try to explain how to best set the tool up. Because if you think about how most people send proposals, think about like calling a pizza place and wanting a pizza, and they just take a pre-assembled pizza with like all the ingredients and they just remove stuff and they give you that pizza. It's just like, what? The better way to do is to think about a template as being like the bread, the sauce, and the cheese, and then have all of your content set up in a very modular way, so that you can only add the pieces that are unique for that customer. So think, you're a digital marketing agency, you offer SEO, you offer AI services, you offer branding. Those are all modular pieces of content that can then be applied to the template. Pricing, team bios, case studies, you get the idea. Most proposals can exist in some form and just be personalized for that one buyer using this type of process. I want to show a couple examples of proposal makeover. So for some of our customers, we actually have a team of in-house designers who design templates for our customers who want that service. A lot of our customers will do it themselves, and that's okay too. But I want to show some examples of how we've improved proposal templates for some of our buyers. And I like to show these because proposals are sort of unique in that they're not publicly available usually. Like, it's a bit of a black art. Nobody knows, like, you don't know what your competitors are sending to your buyers because it's not available online. So it's always nice when you can see examples of how other people are doing it. And this was a couple pages of a proposal for Kick ICT, managed IT support company. And if you've seen what they sent before, it looked a lot like the Word doc example. Most of these did, where it was 33 pages. Now, I know Daryl talked about RFPs, and sometimes they have to be long, 30, 40 pages. But as you'll see when we show you the data, most don't have to be that long. And so we were able to take 33 pages of content and condense it down into about 8 sections. And obviously they had actually pretty cool, unique branding, has a little bit of that, Bauhaus aesthetic that we were able to put into the proposal. So it didn't just look like, a big wall of text. Another one was Pace Pricing. They're a pricing consultancy. Same thing. They were sending out just, wall of text proposal. We were able to break it out, show more about their process. You can see the little, you probably can't see it too well, but there's illustrations and using more colors than just the green color. So this helped them stand out, and they get really great results from sending it to their clients. And finally, Zorasoft Cloud ERP system. One of the things that we did for them was, if you look at the cover of that proposal, it actually looks a lot like their website. And that was like one of the hacks that you can use is, if your proposal doesn't look like your website, just make it match. Like, use the same images, the same type of text, the same headline even that you see on the homepage. But one of the best things that you can do, and I'm just jumping ahead here for a minute, is personalize the cover page to the prospect. So like, put their logo on the cover. It's a kind of underutilized hack, but it just makes your buyer feel more like, this is for me. Like, I can see my logo on their cover page. One of the other really underutilized techniques in proposals is to actually include video in them. It's one of the things that can make it more human, more personalized. The chart that you can see, that the text is way too small, you're not going to be able to read it, but this shows the percentage of companies within each industry who use video in their proposals. And you know what's shocking? Branding, advertising, and marketing is like 15%. Why is it that machinery is so much higher? It's probably because there's fewer machinery companies using our tool, but we'll leave that aside. It's really just not being used as much as it could be. And one of the best, there's a couple really great ways to use videos in your proposal. So a lot of times we have this stuff produced anyway. You might have a YouTube video that isn't getting a lot of views, but it's really great content. It's very targeted at your ideal buyer. Just embed it in your proposal. We started doing that, you can see with one of our YouTube videos. And it's great because it helps reinforce us as the proposal experts, which is what we try to do in our proposals. You can do the same thing in yours. Another thing you can do is use tools like there's a lot of them now, Loom and Vidyard and these types of things, where you can shoot a quick video, put it on the cover page or on the intro letter, and address it to the people who aren't in the room. So a lot of times when you're selling or you're sending a proposal, you've got a champion who is the person you're talking to, you're getting on calls with, but then they have to sell it up the chain, and those people won't get on a call with you. This is a great opportunity to essentially get in the room with them and show them that you're a real person, you have a voice and a personality, and it's not just text on a page. So great opportunity to use video in your proposals. Like I said, we cut down a lot of text for some of those examples from 30 pages down to 8, and this is actually backed by the data. So if you look at view time by section, this pie chart, what you're seeing is that it's pretty evenly spread out across all the sections, but these are basically grouped by cover page, executive summary, deliverables, about us team, terms and conditions, pricing. It's really about 8 sections. So average number of sections in winning proposals is 7. So think like maybe a contract is a section, but it's got more pages. Winning proposals average 11 pages and 7 sections. So cut that down. Unless it's an RFP, I still don't really get RFPs, but a lot of times they require a lot more information. Social proof, most marketers don't have trouble with this, but what we do often see is especially agencies love to put all their awards on like the first page. You know, they love to talk about the creativity awards they've won, and these tend to do better lower down in the proposal. So make that first page about the client, about what you understood of their challenges when talking to them, and show the social proof, kind of weave it throughout the proposal or put some more stuff about it at the end as opposed to front loading it. But this stuff is really important. And it's not just testimonials, case studies. Those are really great ways to use social proof. But even like we see here in some of these examples, like the amount of customers they serve, showing that they're legit, they're for the IT support, like 500 years in business or whatever across all their team, 24/7 support. So stats, awards, case studies, testimonials, these are all really great ways to reinforce trust with the person that you're selling to. Let's talk about pricing for a minute. You won't be surprised to learn that this is the first page that people go to when they open your proposal. We wish it wasn't so, but they do. And the pricing section tends to do well around the middle of the proposal, so I wouldn't stuff it at the end or front load it at the beginning, but put it somewhere in the middle so that they kind of have to scroll through a little bit of the setup before they get there. But it's also really great to frame it as an investment as opposed to budget or pricing. We've found that term tends to work better. But also think about the way that you're displaying your pricing. What probably the biggest mistake that I see from people who come to us is that they're using Excel spreadsheets to figure out what their pricing needs to be, and they're trying to get that exact spreadsheet into their proposal, but that's not really how people buy. So we could learn a lot of lessons from B2C and from consumer grade companies in terms of how they present pricing, because there's a lot of buyer psychology to pricing, as I'm sure we all know. Who remembers the famous jam study? If anybody doesn't, there was a study where they tested 24 flavors of jam versus 7, and 7 sold a whole lot more because people got essentially decision fatigue. There was too many options. They couldn't figure it out. So think about that for your pricing. One of the mistakes I made when I ran an agency was I would geek out on the details in my pricing section. So I would include things like QA as a line item for a website. And all that did was create confusion with the buyer because they were like, why am I paying $1,500 for QA? It should be quality from the start. Like, they just didn't understand it. So don't include too many details that are just going to cause, conversations you don't want to have. But what you can do is learn a lot from SaaS. SaaS is pretty good at displaying pricing usually in terms of packages, tiers, right? Think about if you're selling marketing services, is it just one thing that they're buying? Well, then it's a binary decision, right? I'm either buying it or I'm not buying it. Whereas if you create 2 or 3 options, then they kind of have the good, better, best package where you can say like, hey, I recommend the middle package for what you need based on what you told me. But if you want the Cadillac or if you want the yacht, you can get that. And then you've got a downsell offer that you can sort of fall back on. If say, well, even the middle option is too much for me, then you can sell them the lower price one, and it's priced in a way that it's obviously still profitable for you. The other thing you can do is include optional add-ons so that the customer can basically upsell themselves. This is often not used as well as it could be, is like if they came to you for SEO, but you also know they're going to need a video campaign and they're going to need XYZ other services, is just make those optional and let them sort of play with the cart, so to speak, and see how it, let them customize the price. You get a little bit of that IKEA effect where they've assembled their own price for themselves. We see that work really well. Fifth tip for proposals is automating follow-ups. We even had this problem ourselves on our sales team. Was we were doing so many demos, but we weren't following up with them because there was each rep had 6 or 7 calls in their calendar a day. So if somebody came in and demoed, they would just ghost them and the rep wouldn't even try to follow up. So this happens a lot with people sending proposals, that they're getting ghosted. Has anyone ever got ghosted after sending a proposal? Right? So, there can be a lot of reasons for that. Maybe they just looked at the price, they got sticker shock. But what we found was just automating reminders so that you don't have to think to do it. This is a great way to use technology. It's just like, oh, it's been 5 days. You haven't opened the document yet, or you haven't signed the document. This can lift close rates by 5%. So it's kind of an easy win if you can just get the tooling in place to do that. Seventh tip is more views, more money. So when more than one stakeholder views a document, the close rate doubles. I thought this was really interesting because, again, when I was talking about video, it was like you can't always get the decision maker on the call or in the room. We wish we could, we try, but it's not always possible. But what we do know is that people share the proposals with those other decision makers. So if you can get your champion to sell for you, sell on your behalf, get them sharing the proposal, and then when they do share the proposal, you're not just relying solely on that champion, you're actually putting that video of you yourself as the sales rep or the biz dev representative talking about what you can do for that client, how you can make their life better, how you can solve their problem. You're going to see a higher close rate. Also, 10 is the average number of times winning proposals get viewed. 7 is the average number of losing proposals. So this is more of a recent stat, but it does suggest that if you're seeing low engagement with your document, that's the time to really put in more effort to try to get that customer on a call and figure out why are they confused. Because often people are not buying because they're either confused by something in the document, something just sticks out and doesn't make sense to them. Like in the prior example where I got the DocuSign, I was like, what are all these checkboxes for? The other thing is that people just really hate making decisions. And the easiest thing for a buyer to do is nothing, right? It's hard to buy, and you're putting a lot on the line when you buy services from an agency or a SaaS tool. You make the wrong decision, you look bad in front of your boss, in front of your colleagues. So most people do what? They just put it off, and then they ghost the rep and they stop answering emails. We have to understand this and put in effort to work against it. 7 traits. So brand it. Looks matter in a proposal, especially if you're in marketing, but I would say in every industry. We see janitorial clients with great looking templates, and it helps them stand out, especially the franchise ones where they want them to look consistent. They want them to look branded. You know, if looks didn't matter, Apple wouldn't even care about, making their packaging look great. Humanize it, adding video. Already mentioned that, and it's underused. So if you're up against other agencies, other branding, agencies, you'll stand out just by having video in your proposal. You have to simplify it, cut down the amount of content. Most people don't care. I was talking to somebody from Candy Box, and I can't remember his name, apologies, but he was like, yeah, most people just scroll to the bottom and immediately sign, they don't even read it. So 30 pages is not going to help you. Social proof, show the evidence, don't front load it. Price is right, make sure that you display it in a buyer-friendly way. So don't include all of the ways that you got to the price, just show the price and give them options and let them upsell themselves. Include automation, get more people viewing it. And there's a bonus tip, because I know we need to talk about AI. We can't let this talk go by without addressing AI. So yes, you can use AI to generate proposals. How many people would want to let AI completely write a proposal for them and send it to the client on their behalf without them taking a look at it? Nobody, right? So AI can really help in a lot of ways. One of the coolest ways I think that we're going to see people start to do with their proposals, things that we're hearing about it from people who come to us, is so much context lives in your CRM, right? If anybody use call recorders on their sales calls, Fireflies, Gong, things like that. Attention, we just started using Attention. It's really cool. You have all of this information from these calls that's getting captured and a lot of times put into the CRM as notes on the deal. And then it's we forget about all that when we craft a proposal. AI can basically reference all of that, take your template and say update this executive summary to talk about that specific thing or that specific story that we heard in the discovery call. AI is so much better at this and so much faster at it than any sales rep could be. So use AI in that way. Automation and AI can really help remove a lot of that manual effort, because what did we learn? It's got to be personalized and on brand and look great, but also delivered very quickly. This is the goal. you get something like that in front of your buyer quickly, your chances of closing that deal skyrocket. But where humans come in is the human stuff, the videos, texting links. We started doing this on our sales team and seeing amazing results. Is like, instead of just emailing the proposal, if you get your buyer's number during the sales call, just text it to them and you'll see way more engagement. Way more people are actually like immediately opening that proposal. And if you're noticing, they're not engaging with it, they're not opening it, that's where, again, having that phone number and picking up the call and just calling them, don't schedule it, just call them, can do wonders. So humans are great at the human stuff. Let AI do the stuff that it's good at. If you want to get more of this information around like the state of proposals, the data that I shared, we've got more stats at proposify.com/SOP. It's not gated. You don't have to enter your email address. So if you do just want to check out those stats, they're there. And you can follow me on LinkedIn if you want to connect. But otherwise, what I wanted to put out there, much with the other talks we've had, is chat with your group, think about how, what is the one upgrade that you could make to your proposals today or this week or next week that can apply some of these principles to help you get those higher close rates. It might be sending it faster and creating more automation and a better system, a better process to deliver them faster, or it could be just, improving the storytelling and the branding around it. I hope you found something helpful from this talk, and thanks for having me.